Property Soul podcast, where I share my neutral and unbiased views of the property market. We have regulations in Singapore governing the property industry, but we don't have any guidelines in Singapore monitoring the property news. That's why we see misleading headlines, biased statements, and hard sell advertorials flying everywhere. Last week, there is another piece of crap property news seen all over the place. Let's cut the crap here and get to the truth in this video. It all started on the 28th of November when Singapore Business Review published an article titled "Melbourne Beats Singapore as Top Real Estate Investment Market." That evening, we heard the same news story: Singapore is number 2 after Melbourne in real estate investment from a local radio station. The next day, the Straits Times, Business Times, and Nanhas About recycled the same headline and content of the article like parrots repeating words they just picked up. The headline in Business Times was Singapore's real estate investment market is number 2 in Asia Pac. The one in the About was Singapore's real estate investment is promising. It is number 2 in 22 cities in the Asia Pac region. The Straits Times decided to change the headline to Singapore office market rebounds on rising rents tech demand, with subheading Republic went number 2 real estate investment market in Asia Pacific after Melbourne. I really feel sorry for all our local papers that simply republished the press release and copy from each other without even checking and verifying the details, because they know that, just like the media, 99.9% of their readers won't care to Google for the original report and read up on the details. The truth is, the original report, Emerging Trends in Real Estate Asia Pacific 2019, that our local media is citing, it's not about country rankings in real estate investment. Published by PwC, Price Waterhouse-Coopers, and ULI, United Land Institute, the annual report is meant to give an update on real estate trends and outlook in the region. The last part of the report is the buy, hold, sell recommendations for cities in residential, office, retail, industrial, and hotel. Neither Melbourne nor Singapore has any buy recommendation in any of these property sectors. The report ends with cities arbitrarily ranked. Singapore is ranked 2nd in investment prospects and 8th in development prospects. The reason behind Singapore's 2nd position for investment is only for one reason. Office rents have improved and a few big office deals closed in the last 12 months. Or is it really so? Let us unmask it later in this video. Do you notice that our media tends to publish any research findings with country rankings? Why? Because Singaporeans are anxious to see how our country fares compared with other nations. Never mind whether we are being benchmarked against the right competitors or being put in the right category. It's not about competitiveness, it is about self-confidence and the need to seek approval from the others. By the way, a study in the University of Pennsylvania has done a study this January on how much citizens in each country actually cared about arbitrary rankings published in obscure publications around the world. In other words, how easy a country ranking can provoke viral response in a country. Claiming the bottom spot for 35th consecutive year is the US. The Americans simply don't give a damn about what anyone thinks of them. Think Donald Trump in his foreign policy. Honestly, these days it is rare to find country rankings that are really objective and make logical sense, especially after you find out how they do their sampling, weighting, and analysis. Though nobody cares about that anyway. Besides, if you were an insider of industry, you would definitely know the rankings of every player in your market. Similarly, if you were a savvy international investor, you would surely know the rankings of major cities on their investment potential. You don't need other people to tell you. So why do we still publish and read reports with rankings? Firstly, they are for amateurs who are curious to know more about a particular industry. Secondly, they are for salesmen who need data presented in their favor to sell to potential customers. How objective is the report? The TWC and ULI report findings are based on interviews and surveys of 462 individuals working in the property industry, including developers, builders, lenders, and companies or consultancies providing real estate services. With rising headwinds and fear that the boom cycle may be reaching its peak in the residential market, the report suggests that the commercial sector may offer better investment opportunities. Last month, home prices in Sydney and Melbourne just experienced their biggest monthly fall since the last financial crisis. On the contrary, vacancy rates of offices in Melbourne and Sydney are on record low. So what about Singapore? The report said office rents have been rising strongly due to a lack of supply and rebounding demand from tenants. Co-working operators are the biggest leasers of office space, while tech firms have also been active in the market. The local industry stakeholders immediately write on the statement and twist the content to their advantage. That's why we have the Straits Times headline, Singapore office market rebounds on rising rents tech demand. Why is Singapore's office rents rising? Is there really a lack of supply? According to ULA's latest data, the rental index of offices has dropped 8.5% since first quarter 2015. As for supply, there are 793,000 square meter gross floor area of office space in the supply pipeline as of third quarter 2018. It is 6.6 times of the total office floor area in the 5 Suntec office towers. The current vacancy rate for offices is 12%. It is almost double that of the vacancy rate of residential properties at 6.8%. The PwC and ULI report also mentions one fund manager saying, "It is possible the market is overly bullish towards the office sector, as 2019 could be a challenging year for the Singapore economy and the new supply is expected in 2020 and 2021. If vacancy rate is high and supply is aplenty, why are office rents going up?" The answer is, rents of Grade A offices in CBD is similar to new launch condo projects where the developers set the prices. As soon as there is holding power for the landlords, which include Temasek Holdings by the way, they can afford to stay firm on a high asking rent of $10 per square foot or leave the office space vacant. Let me ask you something. Do you see many MNCs and SMEs expanding their offices in Singapore? Do you see many foreign companies setting up new offices and relocating their headquarters staff here? Do you think many local startups and entrepreneurs can afford Grade A offices? If your answer is no, who have been renting offices at increased rates? Who are going to take up the current vacant office space and occupy 793,000 square meter office space in supply pipeline? The only possible tenants are co-working space companies. There is an unofficial estimate that almost half of the new office space has been rented by co-working space companies last year. By the end of this year, co-working space in Singapore is estimated to occupy 1.4 million square feet of office space. These co-working space companies are not making money yet. But it is not a problem. They are fully funded by cash-rich investors with cheap money. WeWork that just opened a co-working lab in Singapore has strong backing from SoftBank. Yes, we're talking about the SoftBank group that just announced it is going for the second biggest IPO to raise $23.5 billion. SoftBank is injecting another $3 billion into WeWork after the global co-working company with operations in 24 countries in the world suffers a $2 billion loss in a year. Investors and fund managers are fascinated with the new office concept. These co-working companies, loaded with huge funds, go around the world to snap up new office buildings at prime locations at sky-high prices. Now you know exactly why Singapore office rents have improved and a few big office deals closed in the last 12 months. But are there enough startups, entrepreneurs and SMEs to share these nice offices? It doesn't matter. They are showing investors their fast expansion and high valuation, not break-even time frame and business profits. Even if they are in the red for years, they can still secure new funding or go for IPO based on their high market valuation. Market prices are determined by supply-demand mechanism. But what if a buyer is willing to pay a price much higher than the market value? I don't mind paying higher. I have lots of money to burn. I don't care you ask for $7 or $8 per square foot. I will only pay you $10 per square foot because I set the benchmark of $10. Other buyers have no choice but also have to pay $10. As Li Ka-shing said, people always accuse me of pushing up property prices in Hong Kong. Even if I'm willing to sell at prices lower than all my competitors, will my shareholders let me do that? What kind of game are they playing here? These cash-rich companies don't make money themselves, so others can't make money too. They can afford to continue bleeding, go for a blood transfusion, and wait for competitors to die. Think the Grab and Uber game before Uber finally exits the Singapore market. Now you see all the lies and truths behind the Singapore office market. If you are one of those ready to invest institutional buyers or property investors and you believe there is big potential in the Singapore office market, you may concur with the buyer's conclusion and go ahead to pour your money in. If you are small retail investors, when your property agent, financial planner or wealth manager recommends you to put all your humble savings into buying small offices or office REITs, you may end up suffering from low rent, high vacancy, falling prices and depreciating value in the office market for years to come. What about companies that are going to renew their lease? What about foreign companies trying to find a new office in Singapore? How would you feel if the property agent or office broker using the findings in the report to talk you into signing a 5-year rental contract with a rent higher than market rate? The media has published articles such as Singapore office market rebounds on rising rent, Singapore office rents grow for 6 straight quarters, and Singapore's office landlords get the upper hand as rental jump. These crap headlines will continue to come. Next time when you read the news, scan through the headlines with your eyes wide open. Read between the lines and take them with a pinch of salt. That's all I have to say. Remember to give me a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you next time.